Are you tired of the same old weight loss advice that never quite seems to stick? What if I told you that the real secret to weight loss was in tiny, powerful changes that you can start today? Stick around because we're going to use everything that I've learned from reading James Clear's Atomic Habits to show you some tiny changes that are going to yield big results. Greetings and welcome back to PB with Jay. Here on the channel, we focus on all things plant-based goodness. Sometimes we do recipe cookbook reviews, sometimes I talk about my own personal weight loss, and sometimes we do informational videos like this. Today, we are diving into James Clear's Atomic Habits, and we're gonna use the lessons in that book and apply them to weight loss. We'll cover everything from identity-based habits, the 4 laws of habits, practical tips like the 2-minute rule, and how to stay motivated even when boredom strikes. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, actionable plan for how to lose weight and keep it off for good. And if at any point in this video you're interested in getting a copy of this book for yourself, consider using our link in the description down below, because getting it from there helps out the channel. Before we dive into the main content, I'd like to say hello to some of the people who've said hello to us in the comments down below. Susan from Belgium, Jocelyn from Minnesota, Mary Jane from Ontario, Holly from Sacramento, Jocelyn from Edmonton, Alberta, Danny from the United Kingdom, Russ in Indianapolis, Indiana, Kat from Wisconsin, April from San Diego, California, Christy from New York City, Bonnie from Dallas, Texas, and Amy from North Carolina. If you'd like a shout out here on the channel, all you have to do is let us know in the comments down below who you are, where you're watching from, and tell us something about yourself or something you like about the channel or this video. Be creative. Just don't give us the regular hello, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to get a bump up on that shout out list, consider joining us over in the Mighty Network, which is a group of like-minded individuals, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later on in this video because it certainly applies to some of the stuff we're going to cover. So let's talk about how you can use Atomic Habits to lose weight effectively. The core of this book is how it uses small changes to yield big results. So you don't need to freak out and think that you need to upend your entire life in one day. The whole point of this is that you build a new way of being that is sustainable for forever. Just grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and let's talk about how we can apply the lessons from this book towards your weight loss goals. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how you shouldn't have goals. But what should you have instead? We've all been raised to think that the only way to accomplish anything in life is having a goal. And particularly when it comes to weight loss and health journeys, we usually have a number on our head and it's like, this is my goal weight. Well, I want you to throw that out completely. You're gonna forget about that goal of how much weight you wanna lose, and instead you're gonna create a system to help you lose it. Why? Because goals are about results and systems are about the process that leads you to those results. And there's a big difference between them. The problem with a goal is that when you get there, then what? What happens is that when people get to their goal weight or their goal whatever, is they stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. They end up lacking the motivation to keep going. And the reality is what you're trying to do isn't about a single accomplishment. It's about keeping off the weight for the rest of your life. And the magical weight that you think you're supposed to be isn't some number you can actually just find using random online calculators of body mass and height and blah, 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 and all this other junk. Everyone's body is different, and what you really need to find is your best weight. A best weight is the weight that you can effortlessly maintain while striking a balance between healthy amounts of exercise and eating nutritious foods that don't feel like punishment. Great, so how do we build some systems to get to there? So the first thing you need to do is rewire yourself. How you think about yourself throughout this process is going to be the difference between success and failure. The goal is not to lose weight. The goal is to be healthy. By being healthy, you will naturally lose weight. See how that works? Having this kind of mindset is also the kind of thing that's going to keep you from beating yourself up if the scale isn't necessarily moving as fast as you want it to be. Because just by being consistent and sticking with it, it will move in that direction eventually. The best weight loss isn't the kind of weight loss where you lose a ton of weight in a short period of time. It's the kind of weight loss where it comes off slowly and consistently, because what we're seeing there is actual real change that is sustainable. Real weight loss is a marathon, not a sprint. And we get to achieve those weight loss results every single day by tying them to our identity. You need to decide the kind of person that you want to be. Healthy? An athlete? A runner? Plant-based? Vegan? Whatever it is, you're going to prove it to yourself with small actions every single day. Eating the right kind of food, exercising or moving whenever you have an opportunity. Whatever it is. Every meal, every single time you decide to walk somewhere instead of driving, or parking a little bit further away so you can get more steps in. Or decide to watch a video like this on YouTube, or do a workout on YouTube, or at a gym, or wherever. When you decide to have an apple instead of a cookie. Every time you do one of those small actions, it's just adding more proof to the identity that you are trying to create. So we're not going to focus on what we want to achieve. Instead, we're going to focus on who we want to become. And that's why we start with small changes, tiny adjustments that are really easy to maintain. For example, add one additional fruit or vegetable to every meal. Take a 5-minute walk after lunch and or dinner. Choose a water or a herbal tea over a sugary drink. I want you to take a minute, pause this video, and write down who it is that you want to be. And then below that, I want you to write some actions that you could do to help prove that. The main focus of the book is on James's 4 laws of behavioral change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Let's break down each one of those. Law 1, make it obvious. Take a moment and write down a list of all of your current habits, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn those into a bit of a scorecard. I want you to add a plus beside any positive habit that is going to lead you towards being the person you want to be. And I want you to write a little minus, like a negative symbol, towards any of the habits that are maybe getting in the way of that. And then just write an equal sign beside anything that you consider to be more neutral. Now keep in mind, there's actually no good or bad habits. There's just ones that are effective and ineffective. Ask yourself, does this habit help me towards becoming the person that I want to be? If it doesn't, it needs to change. The best way to start a new habit is simply by making a plan and making it specific. I will do this thing at this time in this location. I will work out at 7 a.m. in my living room. I will eat oatmeal and fruit and nuts at 8 a.m. in my kitchen. What I just did there actually is another example from the book of what they call habit stacking, which is where you take one good habit that leads on to the next one and on to the next one. It's kind of like creating compound interest for good habits. Another thing to consider is that your environment matters more than your motivation. People often make choices not because of what they are, but because of where they are. If you've got a bag of baby carrots buried in the bottom of your fridge, how likely are you to dig those out when you've got a bowl of candy on the counter? Here's a fun fact. 45% of all of Coca-Cola's sales are from the racks near the checkouts at different stores. That's proof right there about environment. So do yourself a favor by removing the negative visual cues from your life and replacing them with positive ones. Before you go to bed at night, maybe set up your exercise area so your workout mat's already out there, or your dumbbells, or whatever it is that you want to use. Make overnight oats so that way in the morning you automatically have breakfast ready that is the healthy choice. Leave fresh fruit and vegetables on the counter so when you need a snack, they're really easy to grab. And hide the things that you don't want to have. Keep full bottles of water within arm's reach. Set a sleep reminder on your phone and listen to it. Don't keep turning it off, Jeremy. I got stuff I gotta work on too, okay? What can I say? I'm only human. Law 2, make it attractive. Here's something that's interesting. We get more joy out of the anticipation of something than the actual thing. Remember when you were a kid and your birthday was coming up and you were so excited for the day or the party or some kind of gift, and then when it actually came, it was a little anticlimactic? Most of our life is the same way. That takeout food that you're craving is really exciting as you're waiting it to arrive. And then, I don't know about you, but 10 minutes after I eat it, I usually feel like crap and I regret it. It's the anticipation of something, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us to take action. But what if we let that go? One thing I used to do when I was losing weight was I would create a sense memory of something, like say a chocolate bar or ice cream or just something that I hadn't had in a while that I was craving. And I would almost imagine and remember what it felt like to have it and go through that enjoyment in my brain. And I don't know, that was enough for me. Even just the smells of something was enough to satisfy me. And then by the time it came around to having it, I realized that I'd already fulfilled the joy portion of whatever it was going to be, and I don't really need it or want it. Let's talk about the role of people around us. We tend to imitate the habits of 3 different groups: the close, the many, and the powerful. We tend to pick up the habits from those around us. It's why it's not uncommon when you see a couple or parents and kids that they sort of resemble each other for good or bad when it comes to body size and whatnot. This is what makes it particularly challenging when you're trying to lose weight and you're surrounded by people in your close family or friends group that aren't necessarily interested in it or encourage you. It's not attractive because if it succeeds, you'll no longer fit in with those people closest to you. The same goes with the many. Clearly, in North America, we have an obesity problem. And it's why more and more people are becoming unhealthy with every passing year. They're simply imitating the behavior of the majority. 42% of Americans are obese. 30% are overweight. That means only 28% of Americans are a healthy weight. They're the minority. Look, the fact that you're watching this video is a sign that you're already looking to make good choices and wanting to surround yourself with better influences. You need to continue to surround yourself with people that embody the kind of person that you want to become. Sadly, I know from our comments that there's a lot of you out there that don't have someone close to you that's like that, which is why having communities online, like here on YouTube or on our Mighty Network, are so important. I strongly recommend anyone who is watching and doesn't currently have a community or a support system to find one online if you can't in person. Obviously, I would love you to consider joining our Mighty Network, which is like PB with J 2.0, because what I love about there is daily there are discussions with different people sharing what's going on in their lives, health, otherwise, getting advice and tips and feedback. You also get nice things like advanced viewings of these videos, a members only monthly live stream, the occasional giveaway, and lots of other little bonus perks. But honestly, those message boards are the main thing that gets me really excited about this community, because I know what it's doing is it's bringing people together who normally feel alone. I'm really proud of the community that's building up over there, and it's just a great example of people supporting each other. No one should and probably can do this alone, which is why we have set the membership price as low as we possibly can on the Mighty Network to the price of a crappy cup of coffee a month. And you can even get a little discount if you decide to sign up for an annual membership. That said, any community you can join, you should do so. But I'm a little biased, so I want to see you over there. Law number 3, make it easy. The best way to make something easy is by repeating it. Here's a fun little tidbit. The amount of time you spend doing a habit is actually not as impactful as the number of times you do it. Did that make sense? I think it did. Okay, good. This also brings us back to that concept of redesigning our space. Remove bad options from our environment so it's easy to make a good choice. Remove junk food from your house entirely, or at least put it in a room that is a pain to get to. Make it a hard and less desirable choice. And I know what you're saying. I live in a house with other people who don't necessarily want to eat the way I eat. Am I supposed to ask them to put the junk food somewhere else in the house so it's not near me? Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. If you want to be this new person who is developing this new habits, the people that live with you and that are around you need to be aware of that so they can help support you. And if the people who live with you don't want to support you, that's a really big conversation you need to have with them, because that's not okay. That got a little serious and intense for a second there. Sorry. Now to some other things to help make it easy. Plan your meals ahead of time so you don't need to think in the moment what it is you're going to eat when you're crazy busy or hangry. It's like that suggestion I made earlier about making overnight oats before you go to bed. So it's just like a magical elf left you breakfast in the morning. But you're the elf. Healthy breakfast elves are the best kind of elves. Look, we make bad choices when we go into autopilot. That's why if former you can make a good choice, present you will just go into autopilot choosing it. Make a workout schedule at the beginning of the week for which days you want to do which things. So that way when you wake up in the morning or get to that time of day when you're going to work out, you don't need to think about it because you're probably going, oh, maybe I just skip it today. But because I haven't figured it out and I'm tired and I don't want to think about it. Well, if you've already thought about it in advance, you just need to do it. And worst case scenario, we can use the 2-minute rule. What's amazing about the 2-minute rule is all you have to commit to anything you're trying to achieve in your new way of being is 2 minutes at a time. Don't feel like doing your workout? Just do it for 2 minutes. Don't feel like eating that healthy meal? Just eat it for 2 minutes. Don't want to go for a walk? Just do it for 2 minutes. And force yourself to stop at the 2-minute mark. 9 times out of 10, I bet you'll continue going on with whatever you're doing. But on the off chance, on some of those days where you're just not feeling it, that's okay. At least you did 2 minutes, and that's more than most people. Maybe tomorrow you'll do 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is. Build up to it over time. Again, tiny changes, big results in the long term. So how do we approach some of those baby steps? Say you want to become plant-based or vegan. Just start adding more fruit and vegetables at every meal. And then stop eating animals with 4 legs. And then 2 legs. And then stop all animal products. Gradual. Some people do it cold turkey. Some people need to have a long farewell tour. I myself took 12 years from going from an omnivore to entirely plant-based vegan. So, living proof that it's not impossible. If your goal is to exercise, start by simply buying workout clothes. Making a playlist of exercise videos here on YouTube. Then by starting to walk a little bit every day. Building a little exercise area in your house. Or joining a gym. Then by working out for 15 minutes once a week. And then 3 times a week. And then maybe 5 times a week. Whatever it is that works for you. Build up to it. The other thing you can do to make your bad habits more difficult is by building a commitment device. This is something you can do in the present to help control your actions in the future. You can ask a waiter to pack up half your meal before they bring it to the table so that you don't eat a larger portion than you need. You know what restaurants are like, the portions are huge. But if you bring the whole thing out at the beginning, you're probably gonna eat more than you would have if you had just ate till you were full. Because it's in front of you and it's tasty, I get it, I've been there. I'm probably gonna do it tonight. But maybe I won't because I'm gonna use my commitment device. You can schedule a physical activity with a friend or a family member so you already feel committed to that time frame and that activity, and they can maybe make you feel a little guilty if you don't do it. I grew up Catholic, so guilt is a big tool in my toolkit. Meal prep, and do it in a way that you enjoy. It doesn't mean you have to eat the same meal 10 times in a row for the next week or two. You know, even if it's just prepping a couple of the same protein sources or grains and vegetables, and then you swap out the sauces and other things, you know? It's just gonna help you already have a meal ready to go, so that way when you are fatigued or whatever it is, it's easy to make a good choice. I know what you're saying, a lot of these things link together and are repetitive. It's kind of by design. Makes it effortless, don't you think? Join something like our Mighty Network so you have people to check in with every single day. Get an activity or a fitness tracker so you can enter in your information and see how you're progressing over time. And usually those things will give you a little ding or a reminder if you haven't checked in a while. Get a dog so you're forced to walk more. That's not the only reason we got a dog, but it was a big reason for me. Law 4, make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat a behavior if it is immediately satisfying. Remember, what's immediately satisfying is rewarded, and what isn't is avoided. One thing that's deeply satisfying to me is my bullet journal. And when I was in the throes of my weight loss, I had a lot of different trackers in there. I had a sleep tracker. I had a weight tracker. I had a workout tracker. If you just go down the rabbit hole of bullet journal online, you can see a lot of custom layouts and trackers that people have made and put on Pinterest and other things. And you can steal from what you want and discard the things that you don't. I recently did a video here on the channel about bullet journaling that I will link in the description down below if you're curious about my process with that. We've even got a page in our creator cart that has kind of like a little Bujo startup system where you can get, the different notebooks and pens and stencils and things that you might want to get if you want to get really nerdy with that stuff. But the beauty of a bullet journal is you can really do it with a notebook and any writing device of your choosing. And here's something I want you to remind yourself of. Just showing up and doing something, no matter how well or poorly, is enough. Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians of all time, has a rule of never breaking the streak. All that means is that he writes a joke every single day. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad, he writes it.
Everybody says to me, hey, you don't do the show anymore. What do? I'll tell you what I do. Nothing.
Later on, he'll decide if it was good or bad. But it's keeping that process going that creates long-lasting habits that just become part of your identity. What's great about habit tracking is that it automatically makes your behaviors obvious, attractive, and satisfying. All the laws of habits and stuff. What I also love about habit tracking is that it keeps me accountable to myself. I can check on my progress over time, I can share with others if I want to, or I can just keep it to myself. No one else needs to see it if you don't want to. And here's something that's really important for you to understand. You will not be perfect. It's impossible. Something is gonna come up to mess up your workout schedule, or an emergency will pop up to keep you from having a healthy, delicious meal. Skipping one healthy meal or one workout session is not the end of the world. Just get back on track as soon as possible. The next meal, the next time you can move in an effective way. Whatever happened to throw you off track is a blip. Blips are okay. They're unavoidable. Make the best choice you can make in the moment you are in. Consider finding an accountability partner as one of your commitment devices. If you're in something like our Mighty Network or another community, put yourself out there and just say, hey, I'm looking for an accountability partner, someone I can check in with, someone who will poke me a little bit to make sure I'm on track. Chances are they need someone like that in their lives too. Knowing that there's someone out there who's going to check in on you can be a very powerful motivator. Here's a few additional thoughts. Put the odds in your favor by choosing the right field of competition. What's that mean? If you don't like running, don't choose running as your exercise to try. Find something you already like and push yourself a little further in it. Me personally, I like golf, disc golf, pickleball, going for walks and hikes. And when it comes to straight up workouts, I enjoy resistance training, power yoga, and occasionally HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, and it makes me all sweaty, but it makes me feel like I was a good boy. If you don't like salads, don't eat salads. That said, you should eat greens. Put greens in other things in other ways. Make a bowl. There are so many ways to eat healthy that can still be within the realms and ballparks and flavors of what you used to eat. My website, pbwithj.ca, is chock full of whole food, plant-based comfort food that is focused on flavor and satiation and just making y'all happy inside and whatnot. Breakfasts, lunches, desserts, dinners, everything is in there, and there's lots of other resources. As you've seen if you've watched this channel, we've got lots of recipe cookbook reviews. So there's lots of things to choose from that are just like, there's no shortage of proof that you can eat delicious, delicious meals while eating healthy. It does not need to feel like homework or a punishment, because it is not. It's delicious. And don't think you have to do this the way that anybody else does. You have to make it your own. Learn from others, absorb it all, keep what you like, throw out what you don't. Doing it in a way where the odds are in your favor will help you maintain your motivation and make you feel successful. Now, what happens when you get bored? It's gonna happen. You're gonna rock this for a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a few years. The greatest threat to success isn't failure, it's boredom. When habits become routine, they become less interesting and frankly less satisfying. When I get bored, I double down. I find a new cuisine or a new cookbook or a new physical activity and give it a shot. Find a new path to go for a hike on. Find a new podcast to listen to while you're doing it. Check out a new band. Join a recreational sports league. There are so many different ways to slap a fresh coat of paint on your lifestyle and make it feel alive again. It's easy to work hard at the beginning when you're motivated, but the real trick is to keep going once you're kind of in a pattern. And that is why it's essential to transform your identity as part of the process. For example, I can't even consider eating something that's not plant-based. It just, in my brain, it is not an option. The only way I would eat something that's not plant-based is in very dire circumstances. I'm talking the same kind of circumstances that would have me consider cannibalism, because that would make as much sense to me at this point in my life as eating an animal product. It's just ingrained in my identity. And that's where you need to get to, a place where your healthy choices are just a reflex, effortless. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed me taking a book like this and using the lessons towards something like weight loss. And maybe I'll consider doing it in the future with another book. And if you are looking for a community out here in this wide, lonely world, please consider joining our mighty network for people like me and maybe an accountability partner. And remember, the key to success is building sustainable habits. Start small, stay consistent, and work on making lasting changes. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like so YouTube knows to share it with other people. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet for more videos like this, and stick around because YouTube has this one all queued up for you. They know what you like. They know where you've been. They've been following you around. That sounds creepy. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay here now and wait for you to click on it. Where did I go with that outro? Hi.